Surprisingly, as we step closer and closer to socialism, the top 1% of taxpayers are leaving the UK in their droves and taking their tax contributions with them. Now, there's a tipping point of raising taxes. Raising taxes earns more money, which goes back into the economy, which is good. But there is a tipping point where you raise taxes to a level and people just do this. They leave. It's no longer worth working. It's no longer worth building businesses. They have to scale back, or they go overseas, or they do some tax avoidance things. So there's a tipping point. No one knows really where that is, but I do suspect we're getting close to that tipping point. So it isn't just millionaires leaving. It is just the normal people would be leaving if they start to get taxed more. So I don't think it's just millionaires. I think this is just the start of it. And I think we're getting close to that tipping point where taxes will be raised and it will end up raising less money than leaving them where they were, or indeed lowering.
So I'm just sitting in my car, and I'm thinking, why are so many people leaving the UK? What is it like? What is the main cause that people are leaving the UK right now? And the first thing that springs to mind is the cost of living. The cost of living is ridiculous. Like, go to your local supermarket, go to like your local kind of, sports shop, whatever it is you go to, everything's expensive in the UK. I don't know if you guys are experiencing the same thing, but like, everything's expensive. And the thing is, the things that are expensive, like, I understand there should be expensive cars, there should be expensive clothes because they're luxury items. They're kind of, there's high quality in them, but the thing is, like, you're going to spend money in the UK, whether you want to or not. And that's the reality of it. You're going to spend the money. If you want a car, you're going to end up paying more insurance if you're a younger adult because they don't trust the younger drivers. So you're going to end up spending more on your insurance. And as you get older, you kind of want a nicer car. You don't want to go around in this shit car because you don't want society to think that you're losing in life because that's just the culture here in the UK. So everything is expensive. And that's, I guess, one of the main reasons why people do leave. And the next thing that I always think about is the tax in the UK. The tax is ridiculous. It's something like, when you get to a certain tax bracket, you literally lose 55%. You'll be taxed 55%, or is it 45% of your income? How mad is that? If you earn £200,000, you've lost half of it to the tax man. Imagine 100 grand just gone like that. And you've worked hard to get that, like, you've worked hard in your job or whatever it is you're doing to get that £200,000, and 100 grand is just gone like that. Of your own money, by the way, of your own money. I'm all for paying tax. I'm actually kind of pro paying tax. I agree with paying tax. It helps the, economy. It helps the kind of community around you. Everyone should pay tax. But should you pay this much tax? I don't think so. I think 55%, 45% is ridiculous. So yeah, a little rant over, man, but maybe that is why. That is probably why everyone's leaving the UK, because everything isn't good. Like, a lot of things aren't good, and people are realizing that there's a better quality of life out there, and you don't have to just live to you don't just have to work to live. Let me get that the right way around. You don't just have to work to live. There's places in the world where you live and work. In the UK, you work just to survive, just to live. And yeah, let that message sink with a lot of you guys. If you've left the UK or you're thinking about leaving the UK, then let me know in the comments, man, because I want to hear from you.
When I got back to this country, I decided that I'm gonna make the most of it. So I will find some type of happiness in this country. If it's not in London, I will go up north. Since then, I have been using my days to find a vibe, and the only thing I found was depression. That's the only thing I found. All I found was disappointment. All I found was loneliness. And all I found was a lack of magic. There's no magic here. This isn't a magical place. This is a jail cell. This is a prison where you earn money to survive. Apart from that, you're lucky that you're allowed out in your garden, or you're allowed out in the streets in this slum. But to me, London is nothing but a bona fide prison. Don't be dead.
I love living in the UK, and if you've seen my recent videos, you'll know it. Here are 3 benefits of living in the UK. Starting off with the extremely high taxes. If you love getting taxed on literally everything and supporting your government, the UK is the place for you. You can get taxed up to 45%, which is amazing. All your hard-earned money going straight to the government that loves and cares for you. Not to mention ULEZ, where you get the opportunity to pay £12.50 a day just to drive your car that you've already paid tax on. What's not to love about it? Next is the beautiful weather of the UK. Most of the time it's dark, cold and rainy, and you'll rarely ever see the sun. You can't ask for better weather than this. If you love going to work in the dark and coming home in the dark, after paying your £12.50 ULEZ, then you'll love the UK. Number one is the cost of living. Don't you just love the extortionate prices of the UK? Barely being able to afford rent because it's so expensive, and paying £2.50 for a can of beans. Perfect. Surely you'd rather live in the UK rather than somewhere where the cost of living is a third of the price. But what's not to love about the cost of living crisis in the UK right now? So big up the UK. And if you like the video, follow for more content.
3 reasons I left the UK in my 20s. Let's go.
Number one being the UK is too expensive even for living a basic lifestyle. And I'm not just saying that because I had no money. In fact, sometimes I would make £5,000 a month. Other months I would get close to £10,000 a month. But the point is, regardless of how much money I earned every month, that money was still all gone by the end of each month. Rent is incredibly expensive for what you get. I mean, you're looking at over £1,000 a month for a single person's rent. But regardless, the UK average salary is about £2,000 after taxes. You're spending half of it towards your rent, and you've got a couple £100 towards your car, bills, groceries, and by the end of it, you're lucky if you have £100 left to go get a beer down the pub. And this is all on purpose. They want you to work, spend, and keep living in that cycle. It's a constant cycle of survival, and that's why everybody in the UK is miserable and they blame it on the weather. It's because they have no time or money to do something that they actually enjoy. Because most people work so many hours and they're still broke. You work a 9 to 5, you have no time to go on an adventure longer than the weekend. You literally have no freedom because you have to work for the things that you have to pay for. That's just one of the reasons why I quit my 9 to 5 desk job and move on to working online and traveling across Europe. So make sure to follow for part 2 if you want to know how I actually did it.
So I'm leaving the UK to move to North Macedonia. Yep, you heard correctly, North Macedonia. I consider North Macedonia to be a better place than the UK, even though I haven't been. Reason being is, 1, cost of living is better in North Macedonia. 2, I believe the crime rate is lower. Don't quote me on that. And 3, well, just the weather here is just absolutely appalling. And yeah, I want something different. So if you're planning to leave, put in the comments where you're going, why, and your reasons. I'd love to know more. But do you think that the UK is a good place to grow up as a young person? Let me know in the comments.
Crime and safety, another huge reason why we've just left the UK to move and live in Australia a few months ago. Listen, the crime in the UK is out of control, and in comparison to Australia, there's a lot lower crime rate here, a lot lower. It's a lot safer. And to be honest, from when we were walking around in the UK to when we're walking around here, you just feel so much safer here in Australia than you do in the UK. Like, it's just the way it is. And when you look at the crime statistics, the data and the statistics is there to back it up. It's just the way it is. It's so much safer here, which is great for people who, you know, have got children and stuff like that. Because like my partner, when she was walking the dog out in the UK, I would genuinely really like to know when she's got home, because you just don't feel safe there. Whereas here, it's a real different feel. When you're walking around, you don't see like gangs and groups of, you know, teenagers and young individuals hanging around on street corners and in parks and, you know, getting up to things that they shouldn't be. Whereas in the UK, it's literally on every corner. Yeah, there's a big problem with crime in the UK. And, you know, everywhere's got its problems. Australia's naturally got its problems, but it's just a lot safer here. You don't feel unsafe walking around Adelaide. And it's another big thing that you should consider if you're thinking about doing the move from the UK to Australia.
So many young Brits are moving from the UK to Australia, and here is why. First point is the UK is just shit. The UK is a mess right now. Yeah, people are wanting to get out. Number 2 is Australia is one of the easiest countries you can move to. You can move there on a working holiday visa. If you're between the ages of 18 and 35, for 3 years now, it is so easy to move to Australia. Number 3 is because people know that they can get a higher wage and a much higher quality of life in Australia compared to the UK. And when you put it on paper, you're going to get paid way more and live a way better quality of life. Couple that with the state that the UK is in right now, you can honestly see why so many people are leaving the UK for Australia. I did it myself 3 years ago, and it was the best decision I ever made.
This is why I left the UK at 22 years old and why I will never live there again. The UK is failing in a number of things, and the first one being the cost of living crisis, which is ridiculous right now. With rent prices through the roof and unaffordable housing, how do people survive there? Maybe if you're a millionaire, fair enough. But on the average salary, I don't understand how people survive. Here in Thailand, where I moved to, the cost of living is a tenth of the price compared to the UK. Also, the crime in the UK is a joke right now. And to be honest with you, when I'm in the UK, I don't feel safe walking home at night. And it's not just me. Robberies and knife crime literally happen every few hours. And it's not getting any better. However, here in Thailand, it's the complete opposite. People are friendly and crime is frowned upon. It's not glamorized like it is in the UK. In the UK, people make music glamorizing crime, acting like it's cool and normalizing it. See, in Thailand, I can leave my keys and my bag on my motorbike, walk away for a few hours, and guess what? It will still be there. And lastly, it's all around me, the weather. The UK weather is crap. It's grey, dark and cold pretty much most of the year. And it puts everyone in a bad mood. But here in Thailand, it's hot and sunny all year round. You're not vitamin D deficient and you're just in a much better mood. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of the UK.
Do you ever feel like your life is just in a loop? Work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, sleep, work, work, sleep, sleep, work. And then if you get there, you reach late ages and try and draw pension, and most of us are probably going to get told at our ages that there's nothing there to draw out. Like, I can see why a majority of people under the age of 30 are seriously consider moving out the UK. Not to say that there's other areas that are just a promised land, but to be somewhere where you're supposed to work hard, you get taxed like anything, you know, you're not even guaranteed pension at the end of it. And, you know, most of the country are places where someone can kick your door in and take all your shit, and the law and the police probably won't do nothing about it. It's just an overall bad deal. But then it's like, do you leave your family behind and go and try and find a better life, but then obviously lack the family because you're away? Or do you prioritize family and stay, but you know that these family members that are a lot older than you are already comfortable in setting their own lives, and you'll probably be mapped out to be the same way, but at least you've got family? It is just such a and to anyone in that position, I would personally say, take the leap. There was no point to this video, I just wanted to rant, but comment if you relate to this and let me know how you feel in the comments.
So UK inflation has risen quite considerably to 3.5%. But as my headline suggests, should we be worried? Well, first of all, let's look at this figure itself. So yeah, 3.5% is where inflation is coming. Analysts were only expecting 3.3%. The Bank of England is expecting 3.4%. So it's come in above expectations. And this is largely because obviously bills have gone up, particularly obviously water and gas bills. But this might not be as bad as you think. For me, it all depends what happens in the next few months. The Bank of England were expecting this roughly. They're expecting it to peak around about 3.7% from July to September. And then they've said they're slowly expecting it to come back down again and hit their target rate of 2%. So for me, this is a slight warning because it has come in above expectations. But at the moment, I'm going, okay, it's in line with what the Bank of England was expecting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and of course like and follow for more finance and investing content.
Sorry guys, excuse the absolute state of me. I've been so poorly the past few days. I just wanted to hop on here quickly and just rant about something. Anyone living in London, or do you know what, not even living in London, just living in the UK right now, how are you affording life? I'm talking as someone who earns like quite a good salary, has like a decent job, and still, I wouldn't say completely struggling with bills, but is getting to that point. Rent, £950. Council tax, £113.50. Thames Water, £29 a month. Let's just round that up to 30. Electric, £35 a month. Heating and hot water, another £30 a month. Phone bill, £32 a month. Gym membership, £35 a month. That's £1,225 just in rent and bills every month. And then you've got your food shop, eating out, doing fun things, booking a holiday. Where is that other money coming from? The UK is becoming so expensive. It's actually hard to live just a standard life. Like, most people are low-key just surviving right now. It's not fun.
I'm going to go on a rant about London rentals, and it's not even what you think it is. Yes, it's really expensive. No one can afford to buy a house. It's really hard to find one. But I think the people who should be helping us, which is the local council, bear in mind most people cannot get social housing. It's actually making it harder, particularly for people who have to rent in house shares through something like a HMO. Now, I've grown up in London. I've rented here throughout my 20s and 30s, many years. I never heard of a HMO until a couple of years when I came back from Berlin. And basically, it is a license that landlords need to get to provide additional security and standards for tenants. It's specifically designed for house shares and multi-households, so i.e. anyone who's not a family, basically. It's meant to help tenants. It's meant to, bring fire safety, etc. Don't really know why this is not needed for families. Anyway, that's the intention, apparently. But it's just making it incredibly hard to find anywhere to live. Now, as I said, I've lived in London for many years and I've always rented, and it's always been quite easy to find somewhere to rent. Yes, it's been expensive, but if you needed to find somewhere, you could. It's only recently, a couple of years ago, when I came back from Berlin, that something had really shifted and it was really hard to find somewhere. It took me almost 9 months to find somewhere in 22, 23. And this year I've been living in sublets for a number of years and have been looking for the last 2 months. It's been a nightmare. And it's particularly hard, for example, in my situation where I am looking to rent with a couple and we live together, everything's great, we have income, we can prove it, but there's no 2 beds, there's no 3 beds that have HMO licenses. There are a few larger beds, but they're generally in really poor quality, living rooms turned into bedrooms, etc. They seem to be on average much worse than anything that's not a HMO. No dishwashers, not anything nice that you'd want in your property, basically. So it's making it really, really hard. The borough I'm in, which is Lewisham, I looked at the numbers. I think there's around 7,000 HMOs in Lewisham, which I think is a borough that has close to 300,000 people. So it's a pretty insanely low amount of housing stock that is available to people who can't afford to buy and people who can't afford to rent singly, and which is basically anyone who's younger, a student, low income, anyone who's not a family, really. Under 7% of the housing stock, that's mad. And it's really pushing rents up. Rents have got so high in London. It's you're looking at over 1,000, 1,300 a month for just a room. It's crazy. I don't know why the council are so pro this HMO. I also don't even know, when I look online, everyone who's meant to be advocating for tenants is actually really pro HMO and wanting to roll it out. And right now, I'm having to look in Croydon because Croydon is essentially the only London borough that doesn't require HMO for properties of 4 and less people. Even in Lewisham, they only brought this in 2022, but every other London borough, you need a HMO license for 3 people and more. It's madness. Share me your stories. I really don't understand why the council's making it even harder for us to rent. My feeling is it's just another way for them to raise money.
I'm sorry, but what the hell is going on with inflation? I just went to Co-op to buy some fruit because I was really craving fruit. I'm going to show you what I bought and guess how much it all came to. So I bought some raspberries and it was 2 for a certain price. So I bought 2 packs. And then I bought some oranges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oranges in this pack. I bought some pineapple chunks. Because it's only a small Co-op, they didn't have many options. I bought some green grapes. Green grapes are superior. This all came to £18. £18. It's absolutely ridiculous. I know there's a flipping cost of living, but if I was to go to McDonald's down the road, I would be able to buy a whole meal for £8, including a drink, and I can't buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of fruit, 5 boxes of fruit, and it almost cost me £20. Like, the government keeps banging on about you need to be healthier, put calories on everything, put calories on all the menus, you need to lose weight, obesity is at its worst, when they're charging that much for fruit. for fruit. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to live here anymore. Like, I can't even be a health queen. At this rate, I'm just going to start buying like crisp packets instead, because you can buy like a massive 24 pack of crisps for about £3-4. But when it comes to fruit, like, it's ridiculous, man. I know that Co-op isn't considered like an affordable supermarket. It's like one of the pricier ones, but still it's absolutely ridiculous to be charging that much for food, especially when they only had like the Co-op extra special irresistible version of stuff. Like, I couldn't find any normal oranges, they only had the irresistible ones. So it's like there was not even like a more affordable option. And in my opinion, even though Co-op is considered a bit pricier than like Tesco or Asda, it's still absolutely ridiculous to be spending that much on fruit. I shouldn't have to spend that much. I literally had no choice. I live in the city centre in an apartment. So the only one I could go to at this time was literally downstairs, Co-op. And it's just ridiculous because all the chocolate and the pastries and the cakes, they were reasonably priced. I could buy a whole big fat cake for £2.75, but then this bunch of oranges came to £2.80. Make it make sense. What the hell? I feel like I'm going on a rant like Farah, but now I know what she's on about, because this is the first time that I felt robbed. Like, I know inflation was bad, but this is the first time I've genuinely felt robbed. Because, like, what is in front of me? Nothing. This is going to last me, like, 2 days. And also, I swear Labour and Keir Starmer was selling the UK dreams, saying he was going to tackle inflation, the cost of living was going to go down. I don't see it. I don't flipping see it. Where has it gone down? Because I just spent 18 quid on fruit, 18 quid to be healthy, to make good health choices, and so how are you making the UK better? All I can see is that you're trying to make the UK unhealthier and poorer.